Good morning, Dukes and Wilsons and Robinsons, Kings, and whomever else is on that isn't the Wises and the Deans. Greetings. Hope everyone is well. The Kings say it's a beautiful day. I'm trusting that it's not. It's pretty dreary right here, but hopefully it's coming this direction. But it's good. I have to admit, I was a little sad to see it raining so much because I poured some concrete last night, so I'm just hoping it dried. We're going to find out, I guess, this afternoon. But hopefully we do need the rain. But man, do love the sun. Hope you all are having a great week. I'm excited to jump into the Word this morning. We're in Numbers 30 and Psalms 74. So if you have your Bible, you can marketing that, both of those. I got my good Keurig coffee this morning. Tasting yummy, like diesel fuel, apparently. I've never tried diesel fuel, but I'll take Jeremy's word on it. Good morning, Gunkles and Ericksons. I haven't looked at the weather report yet for Sunday, but hoping many of you will drive in and see us. It's definitely been fun. We talked about a little bit of staff meeting yesterday, and it's even though you're sitting in a car and it's hard to see through your windshield, it's way better knowing that there's somebody actually present than talking into a camera. And Jeremy was very encouraged by that, I think, on Sunday, just to be able to interact at least with people honking their horns. So it was just good to be together as together we could get. And it's fun to see people drive by in their cars. And if you have the chance on Sunday, it'd be awesome to see you. But we'll be doing the live stream again right before. And so you can always catch us here. So I think we're at 9:30-ish somewhere. All my clocks are different, but we're going to go for it. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Eric. I'm executive pastor at Crossroads, and I get to do lots of different things. Thursday mornings, I get to do this, and I'm grateful to be in the Word with you all. And so as we do every morning at 9:30, would you pray with me our Lord's Prayer? Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For yours is the kingdom, and the glory, and the power forever. Amen. So we are in Numbers 30 and Psalms 74. So if you had a chance to read this morning in Numbers, that's a fun one, huh? Talks about vows, men and vows, women and vows. And as I reflected on that, I thought, this could be an interesting one to process real time with, and might not be a good thing for me to process real time with, because I like to ask a lot of questions, sometimes questions that I don't even agree with, but just to get me thinking. But as I read that and then went into Psalm 74, some things started to resonate. But one of the things that resonated, it's even just as I read in Numbers, was just the importance of what comes out of my mouth, and the commitments that I make, the vows that I make, and how often I say some things that I wish I hadn't. There's a part of me at times that even just in kind of glancing at this, could make all kinds of stereotypes without even looking at the context of it. But just sometimes we say things that gets us in trouble, right? We commit to things that we shouldn't have, and it costs us. And but as I pondered that, and just even thinking about how do we tackle something like that in here, I realized that there's probably more to it than I can just look at in face value. I want to do a little bit more work on it before I would offer some random thoughts. But then as I read in Psalm 74, there was more unsettledness, I think, more of this questioning and pondering and wondering. Because as I read through Psalm 74, and if you've had a chance to read through that this morning, there's no good conclusion. There's no good ending. There's no all tied together in a bow and everything looks pretty with it. As I read through it, there was just words that popped out in lots of different places. The first word that initially popped out was the whole idea of scoffing, and that came up a couple times. And as I just looked that up and the definition of that, it was just an interesting couple things just jumped out. One, I didn't find a lot of good examples of it being good, right? That not sure how you scoff in love. The other thing that I thought was fascinating is if you just read some of the way the wordage in what you would say if you were scoffing, it's all dependent on what you look like and in your inflections and your tone, right? And as I pondered that idea of, sometimes I think I ask God questions in a good way, and sometimes I think probably there's some scoffing in me. There's a part of me that is not happy with the way he's responding to things. And I'm questioning him, who he is in his character. Because I'm frustrated, because I don't like it. And as I read through Psalm 74, there was a sense of more questions than answers coming out of the writer. In verse 1, there's this, he says, why do you cast us off forever? And why does your anger smoke against the sheep of your pasture? And there's no answer. In 10, he talks about how long, O God, will is the foe to scoff? Is the enemy to revile your name forever? No answer. In 19, he talks about this idea of forgetting the life of the poor forever. And again, then in 23, the writer asks him, do not forget the clamor of your foes. In 21, there's this let not the downtrodden turn back in shame. All of this sense of questioning God, asking what he's doing, and there's not much answer. The only maybe bright spot that we get is found in verses 12 to 17. And in there, it says this, let God my king, yet my God my king is from old. working salvation in the midst of the earth. You divided the sea by your might, and you broke the heads of the sea monsters on the waters. You crushed the head of the Leviathan. You gave him his food for the creatures of the wilderness. You split open springs and brooks, and you dried up ever-flowing streams. Yours is the day, and yours also the night. You have established the heavenly lights and the sun. You have fixed all the boundaries of the earth. You have made summer and winter. And I thought, that's really cool that God does that. But what does that have to do with what the writer's talking about in God dealing with their enemies and what they're doing, that they're burning up the sanctuary and trashing it and inviting God to come in and say, hey, look, come look at this destruction that these people have done to your place. And in the midst of that call and those questions of God, the writer speaks to God's creative ability and what he has done. But he doesn't remind us of how God's crushed the enemies in the past, the things that we want, how he silenced the scoffers. There's just this sense of we're hanging in the balance of waiting, of wondering, when are you going to respond, God? And so often the Psalms is filled with those hard questions and us coming to God and laying our stuff before him and saying, when are you going to do this, God? And most of them, a lot of them anyway, we get to the end and there's this nice little tie-up, right? There's this sense of hope of what's coming, of a reminder of what he's done in the past that's going to take care of the stuff that we've been complaining about now. But this Psalms doesn't do that, right? There's no sense of rejoicing or no sense of hope. There's just this sense of, when are you going to do something, God? And I just, I've been sitting in that this morning because I think that's reality in my journey a lot, right? There are days when I'm in the midst of it and I can see the light of the tunnel at the end of the tunnel. And that light isn't a train coming at me, right? But there's some days where I don't see that light. There's some days where I'm in that tunnel and I don't know what's coming. And I don't know when it's going to end. And it's not that I'm hopeless, that I'm in despair, but there's just sense of, God, when are you going to do something? What are you doing? Why are you not responding in the midst of this? And the last couple of verses really speak to that, as 22 and 23 says, arise, O God, defend your cause. Remember how the foolish scoff at you all the day. Do not forget the clamor of your foes, the uproar of those who rise against you, which goes up continually. And as I landed on that last word, I thought, yeah, I feel like that a lot. I feel like there's times in my life that a couple things happen, bad things, and then God turns around and something great happens. But then there's days whenever I just feel like, well, like I talked with some of our body a couple days ago, how they've been dealing with some health stuff. And as one thing gets solved and there's anticipation of the newness and being able to re-engage in some things that they have loved and enjoyed but haven't been able to because of the health stuff, then the door shuts on that and they can't. And then as that kind of slows down, then there's another door that shuts, and there's just this sense of it's this continual like closed doors and wondering, God, what are you doing? And I know you're a good God. I know you love me, but what are you doing? And there's no clarity. There's no present under the tree that we know is going to be there to unwrap one day. There's just a sense of waiting and the sense of being in this limbo time. And as I pondered that today and this morning, I was reminded yesterday of a prayer that I read. And I just, excuse me, I want to close with this because I don't have a good bow to wrap around this, because I don't think don't think the psalm wraps the bow. I think the psalm puts us in that spot where we just are honest and say, what are you doing, God? And when will this end? And when will you respond? Prayer goes like this. This is a part of it, and in it there is a response from God. And let me just read this for you. He says, this is God speaking. He says, I love you because I can't do anything else. I made you, every part of you, all that's hidden and all that's revealed, all that's muddled and even all that's clear. You are, at the risk of repeating myself, dear to me. You are precious in my eyes because, just because you're mine. That's enough for me, and it'll have to do for you. Wrestle with it until you get tired, and then relax and give in. Take a deep breath and enjoy. And as I reflected on this morning, God reminded me of that yesterday. That sometimes we just are in this space where what he does is good enough. His love for me is enough. It's enough for him, and it's got to be enough for me. And so today, I don't know what your day is going to be like, and I don't know what my day is going to be like, but I find hope in knowing that there's some days where I'm just going to be in this continual space of asking questions and not getting any answers. But God's okay with that. And so I want to be okay with that. As we close, would you join me in praying our Aaronic blessing for each other and for ourselves? The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you his peace. Have a blessed day.